Hello everybody, and welcome to another match in RST. We're finally getting into another match within the round of 16. And this match we're going to be seeing Murtaj versus nixii can't act, so it's definitely going to be pretty interesting to watch. But without further ado, we might as well get into the roles, protects, and bans. So it looks like nixii winning the role, getting to choose between that first protect or first ban. A very kind of interesting dilemma to always be in. But here we go, it looks like we'll be seeing nixii going for the first protect. So already off the bat into a protect. And we did see a protect on Ellen one, a pretty interesting one. I mean, not a bad one. I mean, this is a map that kind of has a tendency to kind of just be a ban bait due to its kind of somewhat different structure in terms of maps. We see Murtaj going for a RST protect. Pretty interesting ones. So we are going to see a hybrid one ban coming from Murtaj and a RST one ban coming from nixii. So some pretty interesting bans, but I mean these aren't bad bans by any means, especially kind of just looking in general. I mean hybrid one being a little bit jacky, kind of different. I mean we have RST one, which is a speed map, definitely a little bit of a interesting one. Can definitely be very tricky just for players in general. But here we go, going into RST 2. And starting off with this little kind of greasy part, but as we do get into it, I mean, so far nixii having a little bit of a lead already in terms of that scoring, only growing just a little bit more, especially as things start to kind of stabilize a little bit. You do see Murtaj holding, well, I was going to say holding an FC with some low accuracy, but it looks like they're kind of starting to kind of slow down just ever so slightly. Definitely do see a little bit of a difference when it does come between these two players. I mean, it's doing really good. I'm holding a 99.7, kind of flickering between all around. And as we do kind of continue on, I mean, Murtaj trying to climb back into that 97 range, especially as we do get into kind of a little bit of a more harder part, getting missed. nixii handling the map very well, nothing really too much to comment on them. Dropping a little bit of accuracy in general though, but it isn't really as bad to kind of push their lead down. It still is at a point where Murtaj's miss is just still going to cost a lot for them. As we are kind of getting out into this break part though, I mean, nixii getting a miss just near the kind of end, but that miss isn't going to really matter, especially when you start to see Murtaj kind of just missing all around. Looks like this part kind of giving both players just a little bit of a struggle. But as we do get out into this, I mean, it does look fairly convincing for nixii, unless we do see a massive drop, but I don't really think that is what we're going to see. But that first point is going to go towards nixii on their pick as well, so definitely a very good way to start this matchup. I mean, both having pretty decent scores. Murtaj falling just a little bit behind that S range, but we'll have to see how they do kind of go with these other maps. But I mean, it is their pick now, so they're free to kind of choose whatever now. But it looks like we'll be seeing RST being chosen. Immediately, I mean, going into the protect, kind of an interesting pick, but we'll have to see how this does go. But here we go. We are going into our next pick, the Jack pick. I mean, we'll have to kind of see. Murtaj did protect this, so let's see how they do on their protect. I mean, starting off, nixii with just another so slight lead. I mean, we did see in the last map, but I mean, Murtaj is kind of building up there actually just a little bit more compared to something like RST, so that simple patterning definitely having maybe just an ever so slight effect. But Omen is coming already. And you start to see Murtaj kind of struggle just a little bit in these kind of jacks. And these jacks are a little bit fast, but nixii handling it just well. Starting to drop down in terms of accuracy a little bit though. I mean, as we kind of go on, I mean, not really much to say. I mean, both players having just ever so slight trouble keeping up with a map like this, but I mean, Murtaj kind of having it just a little bit more. But we are kind of closing into this latter half, where things are going to get just a little bit harder. Both these players are going to have to kind of keep up. And kind of seeing how things have been going. I mean, it does look like it is going to go in favor of nixii though. And as we continue on, I mean, nixii still having a little bit of trouble keeping up with these jacks, but that does conclude this match, and nixii will be getting that second point, a break point as well. It is nixii's pick. They are kind of free to choose whatever they want. I mean, they've been holding a pretty strong lead, so we'll kind of have to see what they do decide to choose. And going into Rice 5, bit of an interesting pick, but we'll see how this does go. I mean, going into Stamina. But here we go, moving on to Rice 5, our Stamina pick. We'll have to kind of see how this does go. Starting us off though, I mean, Murtaj is struggling a little bit with this kind of somewhat lighter section, at least compared to kind of some of the earlier stuff. But we'll kind of see how both these players do handle it as soon as we kind of get into some more denser, trilly, angry sections. And as we do get into this part, I mean, you start to see the trills become a little bit more abrasive. Both players kind of missing kind of here and there. I mean, transitioning into these really fast patterns, it's a kind of almost slow bird jacks, but very dense ones as well. So you do kind of have to be really careful, especially when kind of going in between these patterns. I mean, they're really kind of switching back and forth between really different things. But kind of going into the second burst now. We'll have to kind of see. I mean, so far nixii holding really good accuracy throughout these sections. Murtaj is just struggling to really keep up with these patterns. That does conclude Rice 5. nixii gonna take this pretty long shot. But here we are going into our third pick, Murtaj's pick. So gonna see what they do decide. Here we go, going into Rice 3. Going to be our tech pick. I mean, gonna be interesting to see how a map like this one goes. I mean, it is a little bit simpler in terms of density, but in terms of technicality, this really does kind of take a race compared to some of these other maps that we've been seeing. I mean, potentially that physicality might be less of a factor, especially compared to something like Rice 5 or Rice 6. But here we go, moving on into this next pick. We'll have to kind of see how this does kind of go out in terms of both these players. I mean, starting off, you do see Murtaj holding just a little bit better accuracy compared to some of these other maps, so definitely a little bit of a good sign for them if they do want to be able to get that point from nixii, but a very, very early miss is definitely not going to help with that at all. Especially as we get into this kind of really heavy mini jacky and grace note filled section. Both players are going to have to be really careful, especially with nixii getting a miss right here. Definitely does have a little bit of cushioning, at least though, with that kind of accuracy lead. And it does look really favorable for them, but we'll kind of have to see, especially with these kind of more abrasive mini jacks. I mean, Murtaj just gonna get a miss kind of more or less. I mean, nixii as well getting a miss, but not gonna be as bad as a Murtaj. But as we do get into a little bit of this break section, we're gonna have to really see if Murtaj can really make a comeback. But here we go. We are going to get back into the intensity. We're going to have to kind of see if it is, I mean, possible for the lead to switch, but it is so much in favor of nixii. I mean, they're performing really well as well, so definitely a little bit hard to kind of keep up, especially in a matchup like this one. I mean, as we do continue, I mean, both players missing, but it's not going to be enough. With nixii's accuracy just really destroying Murtaj at the moment. I mean, it does definitely show a little bit of a kind of closer lead, at least compared to some of these other maps. But here we go, as we do get into this ending, I mean, nixii gonna really take this one, especially with that miss at the very end coming from Murtaj, but it is now match point in favor of nixii as well, so definitely gonna be interesting to see how things do go. But here we go. But it looks like we will be going into nixii's protect, which does make sense. I mean, especially when you are at match point. I mean, what else do you really want to go for besides your protect? But here we go, moving on into this map now. I mean, it is a completely different map from what we've been kind of seeing throughout, so let's just see how both these players do. Yeah, as we can see, I mean, Murtaj struggling a little bit to kind of just keep these early releases in, which aren't going to be the hardest, so definitely is a little bit worrisome. I mean, especially as we do kind of continue through this. I mean, nixii is definitely destroying this map. I mean, Murtaj definitely having kind of a little bit of trouble with that hold strain. I mean, you do kind of see some of these notes kind of just being released really early. But if we do kind of get into a little bit of a more intense section, I mean, Murtaj is just really struggling with kind of hold strain. Definitely is playing a little bit of a factor. I mean, nixii also kind of dropping a little bit of accuracy as we kind of progress. I mean, it does make sense, especially as this map does get trickier as we do move on through it. So it definitely is kind of an area where you do have to be really careful. But as we do get through this, I mean, there isn't really too much to say besides that it is pretty much in favor of nixii. But that will bring the match to a close. Nixie making it into the next match within the round of 16 losers bracket. So good job to them, but that does unfortunately mean that Murtaj will be knocked out of the tournament. So a good job to both players, but there is still another match which will be starting very shortly. So we'll wait for that one, but for now, we will be right back. Alright, but here we go, going into another match. Just a short break. But we are going into this next match, and it does look like Sally winning the role. So it looks like Sally will be going for a ban. I mean, protecting Hybrid 3, a pretty interesting protect, but we will kind of have to see how this goes. It looks like we'll be seeing Ellen 3 ban. And seeing a ban on Ellen 2, pretty interesting choice, but we'll see how this goes. But here we go, going into Hybrid 2, or stream-based hybrid. I mean, kind of a good opening. I mean, it does kind of bring into the match a little bit of almost everything stream-based. It does bring kind of those elements. A good way to kind of test what might be a good future pick. But here we go, moving on into this. I mean, a very calm start, nothing too crazy. But as we do kind of going on through this section, I mean, nothing that's going to really trip these players up too much until we do kind of move on to some of the harder areas. But for now, these players should be relatively fine, kind of just dealing with this area. And VTSeele is going to have to really stay consistent throughout. But as we do get into pretty much the calmest area within this map, we'll have to see how these players do kind of transition into the next section. I mean, as we do get into the ending here, I mean, Selly definitely going to take that lead up. Bumps, unfortunately, kind of dropping a lot of accuracy near the end. But I mean, it is Selly's pick, so they do have a little bit of leeway, at least when kind of going into this. But it is not Bump's pick, so we do kind of have to wait and see what they do decide to choose. I mean, kind of see how this first pick went. I mean, they're probably going to want to maybe avoid anything kind of fast. I mean, maybe Rice 1 is probably a map they want to avoid. Could go for something along the lines of maybe potentially Rice 3. But it looks like we'll be seeing Rice 2, a very interesting pick. I mean, this is also along the lines of just kind of just stream-based picks, so this could be a little bit dangerous. But here we go. I mean, starting off, Bumps already was a very early miss. I mean, as we continue, I mean, Selly definitely holding that lead. I mean, especially in terms of accuracy. I mean, there isn't really much that you can really do in a situation like this one. I mean, you only have to really hope that they do get a miss, especially as the map kind of continues on. But Bumps is going to get another miss. Definitely not where they wanted to see that miss come into. But I mean, as we are exiting this break part, we'll have to see how both these players do. I mean, we see a miss coming from Sully, but there's already so much damage done on the side of bumps. It is going to go to Sully, though. I mean, it is their pick as well now, so a lot of kind of room for them to kind of choose between all these maps, especially seeing how they've been doing just in general. I mean, seeing how things have gone, I mean, they could easily go for maybe Rice 1, Rice 4, or maybe even Rice 5. But here we go, moving on into this next pick. Gonna be LN1. Gonna be our coordination pick. Here we go, going on to this Allen pick. Gonna be interesting to see how both these players do. I mean, it is kind of that one field that hasn't really been touched yet. I mean, there's also the SV pick, but we'll have to see if that does get picked though. As we are getting, I mean, you do see bumps just being a lot lower compared to Sully, so not really much that they can do, especially if strain factor is a little bit of a factor in here. I mean, it is going to go to Selly very convincingly. Not really much that Bumps is able to do, though. But it's Bumps' pick, so I mean, they definitely do have a little bit of leeway into picking another map that could potentially fit their skill sets a lot better, maybe. But they're going into Rice 3, which I would say is potentially a little bit of a better pick. Definitely a very interesting pick. We'll see how this does end up. But here we go, getting into a little bit of a more technical area. Bump's starting to kind of manage just a little bit more compared to some of these other maps, which is to kind of be expected when kind of moving on into a completely different kind of categorization within maps. But as we do get into the second half, I mean, Bump's still holding that FC. But here we go, as we're getting into the final part. I mean, the lead, as close as it's ever been. I mean, one miss coming from Selly could definitely move it over into Bump's side. But just as I say that, a miss coming from Bumps, very unfortunately. But at that point we'll be going to Selly. I mean, a very unfortunate miss coming from Bumps, but not really much that they can do, especially when kind of put into a situation like this. But it is now Selly's pick. I mean, it is at match point. Not really much that Bumps can do. Going for a hybrid one. Pretty interesting pick, but I do think it makes a little bit of sense. But here we go, moving on to this next pick. Very early miss coming from bumps. I mean, not really much that they can do. And as the misses kind of keep coming. And there's not really much that bumps can do, especially with Selly staying fairly consistent throughout these maps. But here we go, so we do get into a little bit of a more denser area. But here we are, as we are in the very end gaming. Selly kind of dropping a little bit at the very end, but still not going to really be enough for bumps to get that point, and we'll bring this match to a close. I mean, good performances from both players, just a little bit of kind of lead that Selly definitely did have, but that does, like I said, conclude this match, and there might be another match either within the next 5 minutes or within an hour. So until then, I'm your commentator and streamer Znow, and I'll be seeing you soon.